Hey everyone, I am actually re-filming this YouTube live. You want to know why? Because I don't know why, but I had my phone sitting on an angle earlier just to get this done and it came out sideways. And my daughter's like, Mom, just leave it alone. Like, people are here to listen to you, not to care how, the phone came out. I said, I'm type A, I think, because I want all my videos to look the same. And then all of a sudden I have one in the opposite direction. Like, no, no. So I stopped everything. Thank God dinner was going, but hey, that's life. When things don't work out and you have time, you just record it. It's okay. It's live. And so I kind of like that. Um, anyway, here is the deal. What I wanted to talk to you about today is so, and how important it is to write. And so that is why today's title is called Why Writing 10 Things Down Really Matters. Like, what happens when you write things down? And so we're going to take a second and we are going to talk about the act of writing things down. And the reason why we are going to talk about this today and what I'm going to talk about is the importance of when you write something down, when you actually take your pen to paper and write things down, something happens. Something happens in this big thing called the universe. What happens is that your subconscious goes to work and aligns you with a higher power. And that higher power to me is God. It just does something. God asks us to sow something, to sow a seed. So I believe the way that we sow a seed is by planting a dream, a vision, or a thought. God goes to work for us and begins to align things, divine appointments, God winks. He goes to work big time. And so, what I wanted to talk about today and what I wanted to teach you today was an exercise. And so, what we're going to do is we're going to just back things up and we're going to do baby steps on how to write things down. Now, I asked you a question a few minutes ago and I said, why am I doing this exercise? I'm going to answer that. I am working with clients right now, and I want to say a good 15 clients. And yesterday's client, whom I love, really confirmed that this would be a great video. And what I'm finding out is as I'm getting my clients to dream bigger, write visions down. Let me give you an example of a vision with a few clients that I'm working on. We're working on their marriage and they're really unhappy. And so they want to go into 2020, believing for a better marriage. Well, I believe a vision is something that is what could be and what should be. And then you write it down. Habakkuk 2:2 says, write the vision down and make it plain on tablets. Plain is like you don't go into a Mexican restaurant and order a taco and get everything on it. I mean, if you don't like onions, you say no onions, no tomatoes, sour cream on the side, extra cheese, extra guacamole. I mean, you want hot sauce, you want habanero sauce, whatever it is, you order it and make it plain. You tell the waitress everything you want. And the same thing God's waiting for us to do. He knows, He's put the desires in us, but there's something that He's created in the act of writing. He knows we mean business when we write things down. Now, I've noticed in vision class that I've done a vision class, I've done several things, and the same question comes up. Same question was coming up with my clients. It's hard to write things down. Number one, I feel confused. I don't know what to write. It's overwhelming because number one, we overthink things. Number two, there's a fear. There's a fear that somebody's going to see what you write down. There's a fear of actually bringing something up and putting it on paper because you're still battling with the emotion. So now putting it on paper and thinking somebody's going to find it when you haven't even healed emotionally, that's being really vulnerable. So these are a few things that I had to work with my clients. And then this morning when I was at the gym, this is the cool part where I just felt like God confirmed this. I was at the gym today and I was listening to a podcaster. I'm going to do a shout out to her because she's amazing. So if you don't follow her, I like to give freebies. Her name is Shalene Johnson. Her podcast today was writing 10 questions down and really quick taking the one thing that came to your mind and putting it on paper. And I liked that. And she was trying to explain that the same thing, that your subconscious goes to work to align you with a higher power. And the way that we do that is by creating visions, putting things down that we're asking for, that we're desiring, that we want. And God wants us to ask and God wants us to desire. And so the thing that we need to do is write. But for some reason, when we get this pen in our hand and we get ready to write, and we take a vision board class or something like that, like I taught, and I'm asking you to write some really big things down, we all of a sudden freeze. And it's like, oh my gosh, I don't know. And then all these thoughts start bouncing in our mind. And we can't seem to, number one, concentrate, and we can't seem to really put our thoughts together. And then we have fear. And so, what today's exercise is going to be is really simple. I'm going to give you 10 questions. With these 10 questions, I want you to try this. Number one, you're going to sew, right? You're going to actually sew a thought. But the whole idea of today's whole exercise is that you just get something down on paper, that you don't think too much. You just throw it down on paper, the first thought that comes to your mind. If you can do this, I promise you that when I take you through deeper exercises like the vision exercises, the visioneering exercises, when we start really getting deep on our marriages, on our finances, on our job, on maybe our mental health. Maybe we're struggling with why was I created with some boundaries and some barriers and just things that I have to work with my mental health. Like, why? And sometimes we question that and we want to write things down, but we're afraid somebody else is going to see it. Well, these questions today in this exercise is just getting you to write. Get yourself to sew. Feel comfortable with writing something down that comes to mind without overthinking. So you're not allowed to overthink on this one. Sometimes in some of my YouTube videos, if you watch the past visioneering videos, I'll tell you to get a cup of coffee, go to a corner, sit down and relax, and actually think about all these questions and write. Well, right now I don't want you to think too much. I just want you to just jot stuff down on a piece of paper. Whatever comes to mind. So you're getting active in writing and feeling comfortable in writing. And I think that's really important. I didn't realize so many people struggled in writing. And when Shalene talked about that today, that we were designed to call and ask and believe big for things and ask for God's favor and ask to receive it. But the only way we can do that is by writing things down, generating some visions and believing big. And there's a big difference with just bouncing thoughts in our head and kind of openly praying to God about things we desire versus writing them down. Because again, in Habakkuk chapter 2, verses 2, it says, write the vision down and make it plain on tablets. Now, sometimes that vision is meant for later on because God's going to do a lot of character growing and developing in you before that vision comes to pass. But when we have that down, we can concentrate on possibly what God could be sending into our direction, how He could be strengthening us, how He could be stretching us until we get to that place where we can see that the vision is coming to pass. So lots of things happen after we write a vision down, after we learn to write things down. Again, number one, God begins to send us. He begins to bring people in our life. He begins to stretch us. He begins to strengthen us. But before we get to all those points, I definitely cannot teach a client or help a client realize that until we really get to the first part of feeling comfortable writing things down. And so today's exercise, again, here we go, 10 questions. If you want and you want to do this later, I will have all 10 questions at the very bottom in the drop down menu. So you can sit down, write them down, and then bloop, 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 and drop them on a piece of paper. And then if you're looking to go further and you know that there's some visions that you want to work on, if there's one question that I gave you today and it's coming back up and you want to take it deeper and really learn to write some things out a little bit further, maybe talk to me over on heatherbaxter.com. I definitely do pastoral coaching along with pastoral teaching. I would love to do a one-on-one with you if you're looking at that, or I'd love to encourage you to look at some of my studies that will help you be able to sew deeper with your thoughts and really get things on paper, because it's a scary thing. But when we begin to write things down in the depths of the cracks of our soul, we bring things out and expose them and lay them on paper, God begins to do something so much bigger. And so that is what I'm really encouraging you to do again in today's exercise. And so again, I cannot thank you for being here. If you're excited to watch this, please stay tuned. Remember that I have a heart and a desire to help women believe, behold, and become all God's created them to be. And so I take my pastoral coaching, I take my pastoral teaching, and I use them to God's glory. I let Him go with, the insights that he gives me for that day, and we just run with it. And it's amazing, the questions and the comfort, the vulnerability and the relaxation kind of feeling that women have with me when we begin to talk. It's okay to take those deep fears and put them on paper, because God's going to do something with them. And so I hope that this is a relaxing environment for you right now, that you're just kind of listening to me, and that you're actually going to say, you know what, I'm going to take you up on this exercise. I'm actually going to write some things down. I'm going to sow. When I say write things down, it's like sowing. It's like taking a seed, planting it into the ground, and watching it grow. God's just waiting for us to plant. The seed is the vision. The seed is the idea. So when you write down that little question today, the question that I give you, when you write down the answer, you're sowing. You're writing something down. And I promise you, God's going to get you to the point where you can expand on that, and you're going to feel comfortable on expanding on that. Okay? So again, let's get excited about sowing and kind of aligning our subconscious up with the higher power and watching what God is going to do in your life by writing. So the first question I have is, what do you want to do in 2020? Simple question, right? Very simple. Do not bounce around a million ideas in your head. What is the first thing that came up? Jot it down. First thing. Is it something that you want to do with your family? Is it something you want to do with your physique? Is it something with traveling? Is it your job? I'll tell you what it is for me. Mine is definitely learning more tactics in social media. I want to learn that in 2020. I want to take some risks. And that's my word for 2020 is risk. If you want to know a little bit about your word and how to come up with your word and how to ask God what your word is and then listen for that word, I'm highly recommending you to go check out that video that I have over on my YouTube channel. And I promise you, within a week, if you just do the activity, you will begin to feel prompted on what your word is. God will prompt it and bring it up, and you'll feel that nudge, like, this is my word, and he'll confirm it. Promise you. So finding your word definitely helps. So first question is, what do you want to do in 2020? All I want you to do is jot it down. Get comfortable writing something on paper. Number 2 is, how do you want to make a difference with others in 2020? Now, I have to stop right here, and I have to remind you that God has definitely made you for more. He has created you to do something incredible. And I know that you will question that, because everybody does. Every woman does. Because a lot of times we spin around in this world on surface level, meaning get up in the morning, get the kids, or get your job together, get dishes in the dishwasher, get off to work, fight traffic, deal with everybody at work, come home, do what you got to do, your night routine, go to bed, and start all over again. And so when we begin to think that we are made for more, we always think, well, I don't have time for that. Well, jotting some of these questions down also helps you get to the place of, but wait, is there really more? Does God really have something for me? And it begins to help you, create a vision of what that could look like. And a lot of people are working in a job that they were never created to work in. They're in a place that they were never created to be in. And so sometimes when we begin to put things down, you begin to realize where you belong. And the Lord slowly brings you into that direction. He slowly has you travel in a new direction, but you got to be aware of that. The first way that starts is by sowing a seed of a thought. And so that's why I'm asking you, how do you want to make a difference? What does that mean? Because I believe in you. I know that God has a plan for you. I know that he's going to do something big. And a lot of times he's taking your obstacle, your crisis, and he's building your character to get you prepared for what he has planned for you to do and how you're going to minister to others. That's exactly what happened in my life. No way at all did I know that my marriage was going to bring me to God. And not only bring me to God, strengthen me and stretch me into a whole new direction, totally opposite of what I went to college for. And so it's interesting. It's interesting. And I learned to be able to dream big about my marriage. I learned to be able to dream big about the giftings that were inside of me. I would have never thought in a million years I would on run how to run the race God created for you, not the race religion created for you, not the race your parents created for you, that God created you for. And it's a relationship. No way would have I thought that. And you can see it says, believe, behold, and become. That's what I want everybody to understand. And so we can't get there until we learn to sow. Just write things down. And so, again, number 3 is, what would you like to have? First thing that pops to your mind, is it a physical need, emotional need? Is it a material need? What comes to your mind? Is it emotional healing? Would you like to have a steadfast mind, a soundfast mind? Would you like to be stable in certain areas? Would you like to be physically fit? I mean, what is it? What comes to your mind right away? Don't think too much. Just what comes to your mind, because I believe God's going to pop desires in your mind, and some of the questions might come faster than others, and there may be a reason for that. God may be wanting you to focus on that question. Next one is, where do you want to spend more time in 2020? Comes to your mind. Where do you want to spend more time in 2020? Number 5, what would you like to learn? What skill would you like to master in 2020? What comes to mind? I know for my daughter, she wants to do more pottery. So she took a pottery class. What is it? Is it a skill to learn to do your job better? Is it a skill to become more creative in the way that you produce your giftings? Maybe you're gifting and teaching a class of some sort, but you need to get your skill out there, but you have to kind of put your material together and learn to do webinars or whatever it is. What is it? What is it that you need to learn? Write that down. What comes to mind right away? Who or what group of people would you like to get closer to? I think a lot of times we put ourselves on islands and we kind of exclude important people in our lives because of maybe things that we're going through. And so, what are you thinking? What jumps right away? Is it maybe a group that you need to get involved with? Is it a coworker? Is it a relationship? Is it a friendship? Is it sister? Is it your husband? Again, if you're jumping on, we're doing questions. And in these questions, the first thing that comes to mind, I'm getting you to write that down, because then later we're going to learn to take it deeper and deeper and deeper. Because when you sow deeper, what you're doing is you're asking God to bring a vision and bring favor to your life, over your marriage, over your finances. I have watched miracles in my marriage, and I have watched miracles in my children. As a matter of fact, I'm praying for some miracles. I got teenagers in my life, y'all. I'm praying for some miracles right now. But if I don't write them down and I do not sow, God's waiting. He's waiting to activate the universe, everything around us, to align up for what we're needing. But the very first thing is the act of writing. It is so important. So again, today's exercise, we're going on to another question, is I'm giving you 10 questions. These 10 questions will be in the drop-down box below if you're just starting this video. The goal is to listen to the question and immediately write down what comes to your mind. Immediately. Because I don't want you to sit here and bounce thoughts off in your mind. I don't want you to be fearful of, is your answer right? Who cares? There's no wrong answer. There's no wrong answer. And a lot of times we think, oh my gosh, I mean, it's just you and God and a piece of paper. And who cares if somebody sees it? Hmm? I know sometimes we fear that. Many of my clients fear that somebody's going to see what they write down. Listen, God works things all for the good, even if somebody saw what you wrote down. Okay, so again, the next question is, what do you want to do different with your money? Okay, so we're going to talk money. I have some thoughts. Do you not want to worry about money? Because that's one I want to do. Do you want to make more money? I definitely want to do that. Do you want to invest more? Do you want to save more? Now, the thing that came to my mind immediately with this question was I needed to tithe consistently. Like, I was terrible with it. I was very inconsistent last year. And so I definitely put down tithe. It just came to my heart. It wasn't even one of the thoughts. Like, I don't even know. I just felt like definitely God laid that on my heart. And that was at the very beginning of the year. My husband and I had already discussed things about money. So when I was doing these questions, again, these questions are questions that came from Shalene Johnson. I'm only sharing them here on my channel because it goes along with everything that I'm dealing with some clients that I'm pastorally coaching. And we're having a hard time writing things down. So the reason why I'm doing this activity here live on my YouTube is because I think it's going to help not only my clients, but why not all my other viewers learn to write things down? Because not only, like I said, with my clients, also with my visioneering class, and if you have not taken that, there's a 7-week free class on learning how to write visions down, make them plain, learning on what is a vision, what could possibly be your vision. Do you even have a vision? Because many people will say, I don't have a dream, I don't have a vision. You absolutely do, and you have one in every single category of your life. And it takes patience and time to learn to detect what God is doing on your timeline with each one of those visions. But what happens is we think it's so big and so hard. So today's activity is just getting you to just jot things down and get comfortable with writing. And so I just wanted to share the questions again. So if you go back to the drop down box, again, I've repeated myself, but for those that are just watching now, you can find all the questions. The activity is just to jot down something really quick without overthinking. And so that's what we're thinking about with money. Maybe that's something God's really pulling in. Maybe you're in financial debt. Maybe you had bankruptcy this year. Maybe somebody in the family lost a job and you're really worried about money. God doesn't want you to worry. He wants you to write a really big vision down about it because he already has something aligned for you. He has really his blueprint is you're probably going to run into somebody this week that's going to connect you to where he's wanted you all along, but he's waiting for you to align yourself up with his energy, with his higher power, and we often don't do that. And so I just think that's really cool. I wanted to share that. So again, remember, you were meant for more, and a lot of times we doubt that because we're in a hard time in our life. So the next question is, what is one thing personally you want to improve in your life? Now, remember, you can overthink and start bouncing a million things around in your head. I don't want you to do that. What is the first thing that came to your mind? The very first thing. Was it something in physical strength that you thought about it? Was it your weight or something? Or was it your parenting? Are you feeling awful about some parenting things? Was it some routines? Was it healthier eating? Was it being on time? Do you really feel bad about that? And you're like, maybe God, something personally I want to improve. What is it? Now, mine is I want to personally improve my morning routine. My morning routine can get very sloppy. And if I get away from my morning routine, I've lost my whole day, especially the days that I'm home from my other job. Well, I have 2 days a week that I'm home here for content creation, and content is huge for me. Content is what I'm developing for my clients. I'm developing for my family, my people. If you want to become part of our family, then subscribe over to heatherbaxter.com. I'd love to have you. I'd love to be your cheerleader. I'd love to encourage you to believe, behold, and become all God's created you to be. And so today's lesson is just learning how to write. Learning how to write. Because when you learn how to write, you brain dump, and then we'll slowly learn to align yourself up and become and lead you in the direction God has for you. So the next one is, what is one bad habit you need to fix and get rid of? Nobody wants to talk about bad habits, but what is the one bad habit that you need to fix and get rid of? The last question is, what is it that you refuse to do by choice? Now, I like this question, and this is actually a question that I was dealing with a client from last week. And it was so incredible because when I hung up the phone, I thought, wow, the enemy is so good at not allowing us to move forward. He doesn't want us to sow a darn thing because he doesn't want to see anything great happen with us. But this client was dealing with unforgiveness. And the idea of writing the word down and then processing why, which those were hidden thoughts. What happened was when we began to just write the word down, when we begin to talk about what are you struggling with this year? So it kind of goes with that question, what is it that you refuse to do by choice? One of her struggles were unforgiveness, and it was stealing her joy. She couldn't even have more fun. There was no way she was going to go do what she wanted to do because she felt her joy was robbed from her. And God didn't want that to happen. Listen, we sometimes we end up being characters and involved in somebody else's sin, and it's not our fault. And then we feel captivated by that, but yet God wants to set you free. He doesn't want you to be there, but in the same way, he wants to create a vision to make you healthy out of that, and he will. He can heal your mind and make it sound again. He can take all those memories away. He can take all those visuals away. You don't have to live in that pit. And so it was interesting because one of my clients was actually afraid to dream bigger and move on anymore because of the one word unforgiveness. So writing it down made her feel like she was going to become vulnerable to sharing everything else. And what if somebody found that? So it was really interesting when we started just uncovering and peeling the layer away and letting her start to write a little bit each week. And I would have never known that it was that big. And so we were able to process all that. So sometimes when you're out there and you're watching all these dream big and how to make your vision board and how to write your goals, and, it's overwhelming for the person that's having a setback and struggling with the one thing they refused to do by choice because they were hurt. And so I want you to see that is just the enemy's way of stealing the Lord's plan for you, stealing your joy to enjoy and let 2020 be the best decade ever, stealing your health, stealing your physical strength. The enemy's good at that. And so that is the art of today's lesson. The whole reason I gave you those 10 questions were that so that you would be able to get comfortable putting a pen in your hand and jotting thoughts down, because eventually we'll get to the harder thoughts, and those harder thoughts are what trips us up. They really do. And if God can get you to get some of those thoughts down, and then he can begin to help you create a vision of what could be and should be, then you're going to be encouraged to write even more down. And then you are now aligning yourself up with God's energy. Your subconscious is being lined, and God goes to work in all kinds of divine interventions, and he will make sure that you're aware of it. He will make very, very good sure that you're aware of it. He will show you a God wink, and you'll have goosebumps on your arm because you'll be like, "Oh my gosh, that was God." And that came because you began to learn to write some things down. It's a process. A lot of my clients, I'll take them to square one and we start a timeline and we work on that timeline. And then we begin to put all the characters in their life on that timeline. And then we begin to listen to God's voice. So it takes time. It definitely takes time. But my heart is to teach women that so that they can end up lining up and seeing what God has for them, and not allowing a situation in their life, a past, their mental health, what it is to hold them back. We're not going to let that happen. I believe in you, and I know that you can behold everything God has for you. Sometimes you just need the tools. And so, again, I'm going to be going live on Facebook once or twice a week now, and I'm going to be giving you tools all through 2020. It's just something I want to do. I also have all my videos where I have teachings and stuff. Those just take a little longer because I got to edit them, get the worksheets made for you, and there's several studies for you over on my YouTube channel. But doing live, you're just going to get me wherever I'm at, family around, whatever. The idea is getting knowledge and wisdom out there so you can get something in your hand and just write some things down. If you don't have a pad of paper, I'm encouraging you to use your notes on your phone. Open your note app and you can just be taking notes. Today I was at the gym and I was listening to a podcaster and I'm like, oh, that was so good. I had to hurry up and get my note app out and write down the quote she said. And so, if anything today, I just hope that this encouraged you, that this motivated you to, get writing, not to fear writing, not to fear anything, not to feel confused, not to feel overwhelmed, because that's what the enemy wants to do. He wants you to think, oh, this whole dream big, this whole believe bigger, this whole the facade, it's just stupid. It's not stupid. When I was taught to dream bigger about my marriage, it saved my marriage. When I was taught to dream bigger about what God had for me, I would have never saw a book being written. Never. Not in a million years. So you have to be careful, because our thoughts, they play games with us. They keep us away from everything, all the blessings. And so I'm just here to push you to write, because when you write, you're sowing. When you're sowing, you're activating God to go to work for you. He's waiting. He's just waiting for you to sow something in the dirt. Writing on paper is sowing. It's so important. God speaks it all through his word. Write the vision down. Take your desires and run with them. And so I'm just teaching you how to run with them. I'm teaching you the basics. If you want to know more, you can go over to heatherbaxter.com, grab this book, and it'll teach you how to run with God. Not a religion, not a bunch of traditions. Run with God. Have a relationship with him and watch him speak to you and personally, like literally move things around on your game board. Literally move for you and with you. So, so, so important. So again, thank you for joining me. I look forward to doing some more YouTube videos every single week, twice a week. You can go to my YouTube and find all the other ones if you want. Also, follow me over on Instagram, live stories. Tell me that you met me over here on live today on YouTube or whatever day you're watching this, if you're repeating the live. And over on Insta stories, I'll show you in my planner here, I have a Devo section, little devotional section. And every single morning, let me just show you, let's get past all this crazy stuff. But every single morning for the month of February, we are doing what's called the heart of the matter. So every single morning, we're going to do a verse together. If you're over following me on Instagram, I will give you a screenshot of this. I'll also give you this all written down so you can set it up in your own calendar. And we are learning a verse a day that matters. The heart of the matter, the heart of what God wants us to understand about Him. And hopefully it'll help our walk better and it'll help us understand and discern His voice better. And so if you want to follow me over on Insta Stories, we do that in the morning, first thing in the morning. So go ahead over there. Heather Baxter 1 is my Insta story, and I'm on there all day. So not only do we talk God stuff and fun Jesus stuff, but we also do some home decorating and some other things, you know? So anyway, just wanted to get on. Again, all 10 of these questions are going to be in the drop down below. Remember that these questions are to get you to write, because listen, here's another thing too. I find a lot of times when we write, the enemy even takes over our pen and starts teaching us to write all the junk that went on in our life and poor me and pity me and today was bad. That's all good to write down how you actually feel. But sometimes when you have questions or you have somebody helping direct the channel of your thoughts, so you begin to write some things down and learn to have gratitude, learn to write some things like when you're asked, what do you feel like you can do to make a difference? That's a whole lot of a different type of a journal question than what was your day like today? Especially if you woke up on the wrong side of the bed. If you woke up on the wrong side of the bed, you're not going to write something very positive. So, I just think these questions are going to generate a positive energy and help you to really start moving in the direction that you need to go. So, if today's was good, thank you for stopping by. Leave me a comment below. Tell me, hey, you're ready to write more in 2020. You want to learn to grow more. If I can help you in any way, just reach out. But have a blessed day. And again, thank you. And I believe in you. And I just pray that you will believe, behold, and become all God has created you to be. So have a blessed day, and I will see you guys in the next live video. Bye-bye. And we're done. Doot doot. No, we're not done. Cancel.